All right, hey guys. I'm going to wait just a little bit to let some people start getting in here, and I know a lot of people hate the live feeds because people take so long to let everybody get in, and I'm also trying to adjust my phone, but anyway. So I probably should have put the verses that I'm going through in the title so that people coming in late can just flip to it or know what I'm talking about. But um, if you do see the title, you know what I'm talking about. Barabbas. I believe that's how you pronounce it. Barabbas. Um, but I'm going to be reading from Luke chapter 23, and it's verses 13 through 24. Um, and right now I don't have anybody on my live feed, but I also know it's late. It is pretty late. I drove all day today and was doing pretty good until I hit LA, and no surprise there, I lost about an hour of drive time there. But anyway, I'm tired, so you'll have to excuse me if I fumble a little bit. And I do have a little bit written down, but not a whole lot. I just want to get the basic message out. And hopefully by the end of it, you'll know, what I'm trying to say. But anyway, I'm gonna just read through it, read through the whole story here, and I'll backtrack and explain it. So starting in Luke chapter 23, verse 13, says, "Then Pilate, when he had called together the chief priests, the rulers, and the people, said to them, 'You have brought this man to me as one who misleads the people. And indeed, having examined him in your presence, I have found no fault in this man concerning those things of which you accuse him. No, neither did Herod, for I sent you back to him, and indeed nothing deserving of death has been done by him. I will therefore chastise him and release him, for it was necessary for him to release one to them at the feast.' And they all cried out at once, saying, 'Away with this man, and release to us Barabbas, who had been thrown into prison for a certain rebellion made in the city, and for murder.' Pilate therefore, wishing to release Jesus, again called out to them. But they shouted, saying, 'Crucify him, crucify him.' Then he said to them the third time, 'Why, what evil has he done? I have found no reason for death in him. I will therefore chastise him and let him go.' But they were insistent, demanding with loud voices that he be crucified, and the voices of these men and of the chief priests prevailed. So Pilate gave sentence that it should be as they requested, and he released to them the one they requested, for rebellion and murder had been thrown into prison. But he delivered Jesus to their will." Okay. So, those of you who do not know who Barabbas is, hopefully now you do. Because in the Bible we don't hear much about him other than this here. But he was thrown into prison for murder, for rebellion, for theft. In other gospels we get that he was thrown in for theft. I believe blasphemy as well. So that man was by law deserving of death. He was the one that was supposed to be served a death sentence. And Pilate, in the previous verses, you see that Pilate basically, interviews Jesus, interrogates him. What do these people say that you've done? Is it true? And all this stuff. He sees nothing wrong. Sends him to Herod because he said, well, Jesus isn't, he's not one of mine. Send him to Herod. Herod will judge him. Herod has, it's his call. Sends him to Herod, and in verse 12, backing up, um, Herod sent Jesus back to Pilate, and it says that very day Pilate and Herod became friends with each other, for previously they had been at enmity with each other. So they found something to agree on. He didn't do anything deserving of death. And when he was questioned, or when Pilate questioned the people, the chief priests, everybody, all the crowd that was there, he said, "What has he done?" And they could not give him an answer. They couldn't tell him what he's been done, what he has done to deserve death, to deserve crucifixion, of all things. And we know that crucifixion was not the only death penalty that they had. They had stoning, and I believe hanging even then. But crucifixion was a very slow, agonizing, painful, gruesome death. And so anyway, they couldn't provide him an answer. So what happens here between verses 23 and actually 25, he ended up releasing Barabbas, released him, and basically let them have their way with Jesus. In other Gospels also we see that Pilate literally washed his hands of the whole thing. He said, "His blood will be on your heads, not on mine. I've washed my hands of it." So that was not only symbolic of the time period, washing your hands of something, but I mean, he literally washed his hands of it. So anyway, my point is here that you and I are deserving of death because of sin. The wages of sin is death. And to break that down, the wages of sin is death. So our price to be paid for our sin is the price of death. Jesus paid that price for us. Jesus released us from the bondage of sin, and he took it on himself. He paid the debt. And it's, says, it is finished. When he died on the cross, he says, "It is finished." Paid in full. And, this message was actually inspired by a brother of mine, brother in Christ, Abram. Check out his stuff on Facebook. It's Impact Ministries. On YouTube, it's Impact Christian Ministries. But I watch his videos that he does. He puts on better lessons than I do. And every Thursday he goes live, and I might not always be able to watch them live, but brother, I do save them and I watch them. So check that out. But he posted a video of somebody else's production, but it was on this, and it was like, it made me think about that whole situation so much differently, because you can liken Barabbas to us and the things that we are deserving of, but Jesus took that on for us, not deserving it. He had done nothing wrong. And Pilate knew it, Herod knew it, and they knew it. But they knew that Jesus was a threat to their way of life and their way of doing things. And they wanted him dead, and they killed him for it. And I want us to think about that. We and I've been thinking about this all week, and I've been reading through this, and I've read it, in the other Gospels, and I chose that one because of the way that it explains it. But, we are deserving of what Jesus did. That should have been us on the cross, and Paul says, I died with Christ on the cross. And because he is resurrected, I live, he lives in me. So, I hope that somebody got something out of that. Like I said, I'm tired. I just drove, literally, I've had a 13-hour day. Didn't drive 13 hours, but I had a 13-hour day, and I'm tired, guys. But I wanted to get this out because, you know me, I spend time reading a passage, looking stuff up, and I start to kind of lose the meaning of it. Start planning too much and not going so much with the Spirit. But to me, that the video, I wish I could share it. I might have shared it on my Facebook page, but to me, it made me think about it completely different, like I said. And it's just, and that's just one of the things that Jesus did for us. It's the main thing he was here for. But anyway, I'm rambling again. I do that. But God bless you guys. And I know snow is hitting the country in all kinds of places that is not used to getting hit. So stay safe out there, and pray continually. God bless you guys. How do I stop this thing? I don't understand. I've never been live on YouTube before, guys. Quit laughing at me.